Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and a huge welcome to Produce, Mix, Fix and Conquer. My name is Steve Beck. I'm the admin of this awesome community. We've got a fantastic guest coming up very shortly, Mr. Jason Perry. So Jason is a Grammy-winning producer who's worked with bands such as McFly, Greywind, Don Broco, McBusted, Kids in Glass Houses, Matt Willis, and many more. He's also the frontman of legendary British rock band A, who's possibly one of the hardest bands to actually find on the internet. And I'm sure he's heard that joke many a time. And he's recently smashed an amazing set at the Epic Download Festival in the UK last weekend as well. So without further ado, Mr. Jason Perry. How you doing, Jason?
Good. Hi, Rich. You all right?
Yeah, really good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very good.
Fantastic. Good. How was Download last weekend for you with A?
It was amazing. Yeah. I think it's even better looking back. You get a bit of an afterglow after you've done a festival. That's what I miss. I love that feeling when you've been at a festival all day and you get back on the tour bus and lie in your bunk and then go to Finland or wherever the next one is and just kind of reminiscing, throughout the day about all the people you've seen and bumped into and the kind of funny things you've got up to and the catering and how good the gig was and stuff. So it was all that. And the gig was really good.
Amazing.
Sounding really good out front. And we had a really big crowd. It looked really good. Everybody just really happy to be there. It's weird for us at Download because we're a bit of a square peg in a round hole there. We're not the heaviest of bands. But the audience always make us, I mentioned this on stage as well, the audience always make us feel welcome. For some reason, where you'd expect to get bottled off.
Really?
We've played it 6 or 7 times now. We've never been bottled off.
Wow.
And the thing is, like we tried not to be a slick band. Like I love bands like Pavement and Beck and the Beastie Boys and kind of punk rocks. I don't like really slick stuff.
Yeah.
And all that kind of rock world is very backing track and very slick and loads of crew and it's all about that. And we're just trying to be the opposite of that on purpose because that's what I think we're quite good at, having that charm of kind of when things go wrong, I prefer it. So I love it when things go wrong at gigs.
It's so fun though. You're absolutely right. It's so great. Do you guys actually use a backing track then? Or is in like a click as well and you're in ears, or do you just do everything live as you go and that's it?
Live. And Giles, my brother, plays samples and loops and beats and stuff, and he can speed them up, slow them down, whatever. And we can stop songs, start again. I just love being able to stop a song in the middle of the song just to say something that I thought was funny. And just to annoy my brother, things like that. When I feel like it's going too well, I just want to annoy them. And
brilliant.
Yeah, it goes too far sometimes. And then we have a little fight. It makes me laugh.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I remember seeing you before we begin, asking you some questions about your amazing history and your journey. I remember seeing you support Green Day. I think it was Woollerton Park at the 2002. I saw you guys in Nottingham. And I remember seeing you, I think you were on a rope ladder at the time. So I very much thought you were going to do like an Eddie Vedder and climb all the way to the top. But yeah, man, it was awesome. Like back in the day.
I was getting bored looking around for things to do like I do. And there's some, the lighting rig ladder. Just thought, I'll swing out into the crowd on that. What I didn't think about is you can swing back. You've got one chance to get off it. If not, you end up with like diminishing returns where you just end up hanging there. And that's what happened.
Oh, crazy.
Climb down into the pit. a new low while Billy Joe's watching going,
amazing. So cool, man. Right, so yeah, like with thanks so much for that, Jason. Like with our other guests, we've had a good chat about their journeys, so I'd love to be able to have a chat with you about yours. So when you were a kid, what sort of music were your parents playing in the house? I know that you've got a twin brother and your other brother Giles, like you mentioned as well. So what were your parents playing to you guys back then?
Mamas and Papas and the Beatles and the Hollies. So lots of harmonies, and Beach Boys. So
Yeah.
the big four. So yeah, grew up listening to that until Adam and the Ants came along, and then the first record I bought was The Police, So Lonely, just so lonely, so lonely,
Nice.
which is why I sing so high. And then I got into the Jam. So my first real love was The Police, and the Jam was like, you know, power trios, punk rock trios,
Yeah.
and I loved it, and I loved the aggression, but also the melody. But I used to love how Paul Weller could just kind of come back from the mic stand and kind of do out his guitar, and I didn't know what that was. I thought all bands did that, but then they had massive pop songs. They had like Going Underground and Town Called Malice, and I loved how cool they were with these pop songs, and same with The Police. So that was it, and then we moved from Leeds to Suffolk, where we met Mark, our guitarist, and then Suffolk being Suffolk, everyone's into village metal.
Right.
It's just village metalers who were into two bands, Iron Maiden plus another.
Yeah.
And you're only allowed to like two bands because you live in a village, so you can't be open-minded about anything. So you'd have these kids who like Dio or like Van Halen and what other band he was allowed to like that week.
Yeah.
It was really funny. Me and Adam turned up liking Sade and Big Country and U2 and Queen and The Jam and Public Enemy, and all these kids thought we were mental because we weren't into village metal. But then I appreciated that as well. So we've always just liked loads of stuff. And it's interesting, in A, we never listened to our peers at all, really. Probably listened to Rancid, bands like that a lot. And Ducky era Green Day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the first the first two big Blink records. But that's probably it for me, peer group wise. I'd just go listen to the Beach Boys or like old records, and I'll go listen to Talking Heads or Rush, because I love Rush, like 80s Rush.
Amazing.
So we never listened to the kind of music that we'd make, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I remember Limp Bizkit coming out with when Nookie came out. That was a massive moment for me, where something had really happened that I just couldn't believe, and that I loved. I love that record. Just again, it was like cool and edgy, but pop. And I love it when those things collide. And
it's great. Yeah, completely. It's amazing. It's like, and Wes Borland is how heavy he was on guitar. But again, like you said, though, the pop sensibility of that band was just crazy in their commercial appeal.
And the cartoon characters of it all.
Yeah.
And that's why I love metal. I don't know much about metal, but I love metal, especially 80s metal, because it's just a cartoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. And they're just big pop stars and doing big things. I love that. I love when people are prepared to stick their head above the sand and, people hate them or love them or whatever. I love that. Music's I kind of like everything. I don't really like kind of pop R&B. No disrespect to, but like kind of Craig David type music.
Sure.
He's a lovely guy, and lots of people like that kind of music, and it's great. But it just doesn't resonate with me. Anything about being in the club or being sexy, I just don't get, because I've never been sexy or felt comfortable in a club. I just want to leave as soon as I go anywhere near a club.
Oh, absolutely. Get that completely. Yeah, ditto.
I don't get that, but I get most other things. But yeah, I'm doing this McFly record at the moment. We've been listening to a lot of kind of northeast coast, late 70s soft rock. So like Boston and early Aerosmith and Rush, early Rush, kind of late 70s, early 80s Rush. Basically Weezer.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great band.
We've been listening to a lot of stuff like that and really getting into that. Trying to get the boys into REO Speedwagon because I love them. So, and that's been brilliant as well. I kind of like anything that's been successful. I just think there's always something to learn from it. unless it was forced upon people. But yeah, when it resonates with someone, like Nookie, when that came out, it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
How pop it was, and how powerful it was, and how exciting it was, and I've always liked music where I want to be in their band. That's why I love the Beastie Boys.
Great band.
I just want to be in their band, and I'd go see them live, and I'd come home and be so depressed. I'm like, never going to be as good as the Beastie Boys, but nobody is, so it doesn't matter, does it?
No, you're absolutely right. You know, amazing band as well, and great producers. You know, amazing at their craft, legendary as well.
Great people.
Yeah,
I love bands where I love their relationship. Like that's why I love Rush, and I love bands where their relationship is beautiful, where they're like brothers. Beastie Boys have got that. Really moves me. I think it's incredible.
Absolutely, but it's like the layers as well, like all the layers. Like if you listen back, I'm sure you've done it as well, but kind of like listen, you know, on high def and on under a good pair of headphones as well. Just some of the layers that they kind of cheekily add in there, and some of the samples that you don't kind of, like you said, if you're in a club, you might not notice that, but it's like, you know, it's really kind of well hidden, so it makes you listen to it again and again and again, and really get deeper into it as well. I love albums like that. I don't know about you, but I love albums that you can keep on exploring. You know.
Yeah. I get that a lot with Beach Boy stuff where I went down Beach Boy rabbit holes for years, just listening to demos and like different versions of God Only Knows and stuff, and just incredible. And you like, I made a record at that same studio that the album was recorded in, and at East West in LA. I made this record there, and we were in Studio 2, which is like the best drum room in the world, and just doing drums to tape. And it was, you know, nice 2 weeks on drums, nothing else really. So I had a lot of time to just, and I'd go into Studio 3 every morning. So I'm an early riser. I get up early and try to go to bed early. So I'd always be the first at the studio, and just Studio 1 is where Frank Sinatra did New York and stuff, but Studio 3 is where, and it's exactly the same. It's where Mamas and Papas recorded Monday, and it's where the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson made Pet Sounds, and it's exactly the same. And you go in there, and every hair on your body, it's just like, wow, it's magic in this room. And I'm like, Brian Wilson, like the rest of the band were on tour in Europe or wherever they were.
Yeah,
he came in here every morning and left with Pet Sounds. Like he pulled it out of the air. Didn't exist. It's like Star Wars at the point where R2-D2 didn't exist, and bloke made it up.
Yeah,
George Lucas went, yeah, go on, and he did that and made Pet Sounds. Like there's a moment where that wasn't even a thing, where he'd be on his way to work that morning and grab a coffee, and it just blows my mind. That's why I love making records. I love the fact you walk into an empty studio and there's nothing there, and you leave with an album.
That's crazy.
It's mental, isn't it? He's literally put it together out of thin air.
Genius. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, you know, to be able to do that. And, you know, what a blessing to be able to do that as well. You know, have something that's, you know, there forever. You know, it's wonderful. It's so cool.
I love that. Yeah, I get those moments where I do it a lot with football, where I'll watch a game and just, you know, when there's an amazing goal, like the Gaza goal, right, against Scotland in Euro 96.
Oh, yeah, 96, yeah.
I love starting that before Seaman kicks a ball.
Yeah.
And then, because I think at that point, Gaza didn't know he was about to score that goal. And that just makes me just send shivers down my body. Like he didn't know. In 5 seconds' time, he's about to score that goal. And at that point, he doesn't know. How ace is that?
That's
that
great.
Feeling. And that's what music gives you. You don't know on that day you're going to record that song or it's going to turn out. And sometimes it's beyond expectations. And other times it's not. It's just hard work.
Oh, mate, absolutely. Oh, really, thanks so much for that, Jason. Really want to explore as well about your voice as well. So, you know, obviously, you know, you've done producing for many years now and also songwriting for many years with lots of amazing commercial bands. But with singing as well, so how did you learn to sing? Did you get professionally taught, or how did it come about?
I've never really thought of myself as a singer. I'm the worst musician in the band by a long way, which is probably why I became a producer, because I'd be the guy in the room telling everybody what I hear and how to play it.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, putting shapes on the page. So I've never thought of myself as a singer. I never, like when we do band rehearsals, I don't even go.
Really?
No, because I just think I'm rubbish. And then I sing for 5 minutes and my voice goes, and I've got an off. My voice, my singing voice is like that. It's almost whispering, and my speaking voice is. Ed's our front of house man says my speaking voice is 10 times louder than my singing voice.
Wow.
So I've always been really insecure, but I do like my voice because it's unusual.
Yeah, it is.
I've grown to love that unusualness of it, but I don't like having my voice because it's really not very nice to have, and it's ruined many a tour for me where it's just painful and I've lost my voice and I can't speak. And like we had a song called Starbucks that was a big hit for us, and but I wrote that in America. We were on an American tour, and I wasn't allowed to speak for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And really lonely and really, I'm really insecure, which is why I talk a lot. And the thought of other people not liking me just kills me.
Yeah.
I'll do it after this. I'll go to bed tonight, and I'll give myself a hard time about something I said or whatever. I'm just very down on myself all the time. And so we did this American tour and I wasn't allowed to speak. So my daily routine was the bus would pull in, I don't know where it would be, I don't know, Pittsburgh or somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd know that the bus had stopped. You feel when the tour bus stops.
Yeah.
And I'd get up about 6:30, 7, call a taxi, have breakfast on the bus, call a taxi, and then go into town wherever we were, walk around for a couple of hours. One of my favorite things in life is walking around the city, watching the city, all the shopkeepers. And I think people are great in the morning and people are horrible at night. Everyone says, you notice that? Everyone says good morning to you, but nobody walks around at night going, have a nice sleep. Like people are just grumpy at night or violent or whatever, but in the morning, everyone's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I walk around, then I go find a Starbucks and sit in there all day and write letters to my wife or try and write lyrics and stuff, and
Amazing.
just feel like all I want to do is work in there and give it up, because my throat would hurt so much and I was miserable, and you know I wasn't allowed to talk, and then at 4 o'clock I'd go back to the venue and not do a sound check and just sit on the bus, and everyone's gone off the bus because of my voice. So I'm sitting there on my own, feeling insecure that everyone's down on me. And I'm not speaking and everyone thinks I'm moody. And then I go do the gig. I'd warm up for an hour, put my ears in, go do the gig, come back, go to bed, and not speak. Didn't speak to anyone for 6 weeks. And in the end, I just want to work in Starbucks. But every night, I think I would give anything just to work in here and not have to deal with this today. And then I go back to the venue, we'd have the best gig ever.
Absolutely. Yeah, too right.
And then the next night the same, then it would happen again. And that's why I wouldn't swap it for this job in Starbucks, but you have to keep reminding yourself at the end of the night. But but my voice is just awful. It's going now talking because it's so weak. It's horrible.
It's crazy. It's crazy that you say that though, because when I listen to when I hear your voice, especially on Hi-Fi Series towards the end, I forgot the name of the song. What's the last track on Hi-Fi Series? But there's a song on there, and it's cool because there's so many different dynamics, and all of a sudden there's like loads of time signature changes as well. That I know. So at the end of that,
Hi-Fi Series, I think.
It is. Yeah. And it's amazing. I think it's about 2 minutes in, and all of a sudden it's like this sort of I'm sure people have told you this before. But there's like a sting thing that happens in your voice as well that changes. That's awesome, man. It's great.
I love singing. Well, I love singing high because I can't sing low.
Yeah.
The problem is I used to have, and I still have it now, is I've got no bottom end in my voice. So we'd have like monitor guys coming on like 1, 2, 1, 2. Like, wow, it sounds amazing. So I come on like anything under 2K is gone. I don't have anything.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to bring like 2, 3K out of the monitors. I'm like, dude, that's what I've got. People
Oh,
that is.
incredible.
I sound like feedback.
Oh man, it's crazy. But the thing is, though, it's like, I'm in my late 30s, so I just remember, like, been British, late 30s, originally based in Nottingham, now based in Manchester. I just remember you guys were a big part of, that rock scene back in the day, like with 100 Reasons and right. I know you're a Rival Schools fan as well, if I'm right in saying that. That
Yeah,
man,
we went on tour
pardon?
with it. We went out on tour with them once. It was amazing.
Oh, such a good band.
Well, yeah, they were with us on that hi-fi tour. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Wally's one of the nicest guys, and Sammy, best guys in the world.
Legends, absolute legends in the hardcore scene as well, man.
Making a comeback. The tour dates came up yesterday.
Oh,
yeah, so
brilliant.
Yeah,
amazing, so cool. So let's thanks so much for that, Jason. Maybe let's explore a bit more about and how it started off. So I understand that you guys got signed to London Records, but you were creating TV ads at the time. Is that right? Is that true story?
We had our own little studio in Shoreditch.
Yeah.
And I used to pay myself 30 quid a week and sleep under the desk. And me and Adam were on the dole, and we'd saved up enough money to go to New York because we were working in nightclubs, doing the sound in nightclubs. And so we'd go to New York and buy all this cheap gear because it's half price then. So we'd come back with one ADAT and then we'd go back again, and got to know New York really well while being on the dole.
Wow.
And we managed to get his Prince's Trust grant for £3,000.
Yeah.
And then the bank said they'd match it. So we got £6,000, which is when you're on 20 quid a week, a lot of money. So we bought our first bit of studio gear, and I learned to use it, and ended up producing a band called 18 Wheeler down there on Creation,
nice.
who were the band that Oasis were playing with when they got signed. And they were into the Beach Boys, and I loved all those Creation bands, and still do. Teenage Fan Club and obviously Oasis at the time and stuff. So that was really good. And then and we were trying to get a record deal. We were in this band called A, and we were trying to get this record deal, and we were trying really, really hard. And I remember, it's a long answer, but one night there was a documentary on TV about the Who, and John Andrews, the bass player who's dead now, obviously said, if you're trying to get a record deal, you don't deserve one. And I was really gutted because I spent 4 years trying to get a record deal. I had no girlfriend, no money, nothing. And I was 26. I was like, it's done, I'm done. And then he said that, and I was like, how dare you say that? You're a millionaire. It's easy for you. I'd give anything to get a record deal. And then I remember going to bed that night, and I woke up about 2, 3 in the morning with one of those like eureka moments. I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like, do I think Paul Weller tried to get a record deal? He probably didn't give a monkeys whether he got one or not. Like, all the bands that I love didn't try to get record deals. Record companies tried to sign them. It's like, we need to stop trying. And so I went back the next day with the band and went, we need to scrap all the songs, and we need to start again, and we need to find out why all these people come down to our studio to hang out, and what it is about us lot that makes us this kind of place where people come. Because some of my favorite bands would come and hang out with us all the time, and let's try and bottle that. And that was my first bit of record production, where I knew we had to bottle something, and it had nothing to do with microphones or EQ or drum sounds. It had to do with us as people. And within a month, we had 9 record deals on the table.
Wow. Without
even trying. And then our man called me one day, Paul, who manages James Bay now, and James Morris, anybody with starts with James. He came to the studio before mobile phones, and we'd agreed to meet him at Liverpool Street Station, and we forgot, not because we've been rude or trying to be cool, but we genuinely forgot. And he spent like 2 weeks tracking us down to say, why didn't you meet me? And because we're just these guys, like, we didn't have an office or a fax machine, and eventually he knocked on the door at his studio and said, he stood me up, and we ended up signing to him to London.
Wow.
And it was just nuts, man. It was like we were trying so hard, and then we just stopped trying. We had good songs and stuff, but we just managed to bottle what it was, or what we thought it was. And those demos were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They were amazing. I'd put them on now, they'd probably stand up. really rough, really raw, but there was something exciting about them. Like I would have signed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was good advice. Long answer to a very short question.
No, it's a great answer, mate. That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Jason. That's awesome. It's really interesting as well. I was having a chat with our moderator Ian before we went live, who you met a few minutes ago. And what really interests, I think, you've probably seen it as well with the punk community and the pop rock community as well, maybe, but as well as production. I know that you're a producer and you've been a producer for many years, but with that whole punk rock production versus polished production, is there a place still for that whole raw punk rock thing, and obviously versus a polished thing? Do you think sometimes maybe bands go too polished, do you feel, or do you reckon it just depends on what their audience is after, or do you think maybe bands overthink it sometimes, like raw versus polished?
Yeah I don't really know what polished is anymore. You make anything sound polished, so I do think bands overthink it sometimes in the wrong areas, and I think the big bands recognize that and know they need a producer. It's amazing. I'll get emails from managers from really big bands who know they need a producer, but yet then I'll get 10 emails a day from small bands that think they've recorded this amazing song and just want someone to master it for them. And I write back and go, I'm not a mastering engineer, but I don't think the songs just, I think need some production, but they think it's been produced because it sounds really slick.
Yeah.
And I think it hasn't, because it sounds really slick and no one cares. But then big bands will email me saying, we really need a producer, because they know how important that is, because they made albums and then they've told it, and then they come back and try to make another one, and then know. So to me, production isn't about whether it's slick, but bands like Broco, for instance, what I've done 3 records with now, they're really good musicians. They just kind of need, and now they're really good at it.
Yeah.
But when I first met them, they just kind of need saving from themselves. Really, it's just almost in that kind of world where it's a sport.
Yeah,
kind of, we're really so just trying to simplify Don Broco. It's a hard job. It's my job to be the caveman in the room and just go, I think it should be like this because what Bobby said there is really good.
Yeah.
And it's like, someone was like, okay, let's move out of the way for Bobby. And we do. And then what you get is the end result. But to get to that point has been a lot of work, a lot of simplification from them. And they're amazing at it now. Really good at it.
Oh, yeah. So good.
And they're so good. You could leave them to just, and I leave them to do a lot of it. All the programming stuff. And, like Si's got his rig, all his keyboards and stuff going on. And I've got Tommy editing drums, the bass player. And, you can leave them to it. And then I just pop in and go, yeah, it's kind of needs this or needs that, or we've lost this. And they're like, okay. They don't care. They just want it to be amazing. So you can say anything to them. And I love bands like that. When you get to the point where a band trusts you and you just go, mate, that's rubbish, in a nice way or whatever. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
And we'll go have a meal and they'll be like, yeah, what was I thinking? And they'll say the same to me. And they'll come in and go, you've really ruined that song for us, and we'll have a laugh about it and work out why. You get to a point where you can say whatever you want to each other.
It's trust. Yeah, it's trust. Yeah, trust and respect. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. And that's really important. More important than any plugin.
Yeah.
Because everyone can do everything now. Apart from me. I can talk a lot. Which turns out is an important tool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. No, that's just great. It's needed. I think because it's so easy for bands, as to get lost in ideas as well. And, when you've got, I suppose, like with Don Broco, 4 members there as well. And, I'm guessing with, some bands, there's like ego maybe of like, they've created this thing, this song, and then they're going, oh, I think it's the best thing ever. But for someone, like a producer like yourself to walk in the room and go, it's not quite right, and try this instead. Like you said, that
Broco, the opposite. Broco they're absolutely brutal about their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like they'll play me an idea and they'll be like, as they're playing it, yeah, we'll leave that one. I'm like, what? It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then they'll all chime in and go, it's a bit, that's a bit 3 out of 10. That's a bit stock. You know, wow, guys, this is incredible. We've really got to make something out of this. And then they'll trust me to try and get that out of them. But if we can't, they're not precious about anything. It's incredible. And all bands, the bigger the band is, the better they are like that. The problem is with bigger bands and really good bands is that their appreciation of the craft is huge, and their maturity is huge. So when you're making your first album, it's really easy because you'd be like, well, I like, I like this band, everything else is shit. It's really easy to make an album then because you know what album you're going to make. But when you get older and you've had success and you've been on tour a lot and you start to appreciate everything, it's really hard. So like McFly now, you've got 4 different people into 4 different things who all appreciate everything and can all play everything just about. So you've got to really build a framework around what kind of record you're going to make, and build some structure and some walls around it that you can break out of and have fun breaking out of it. But good creativity comes from lots of constraints, I think. That's why punk's so good. Hip hop's so good, and dance music's so good. It's like, here's the rules, here's what we do, here's the tools that we need. But when you're in a big studio with a band who can play anything, and you're all looking at each other going, "No, what do we do?" And the answer is, we can do anything. Yeah, it's terrible. So you need someone in that room to just build a framework and then literally keep everybody in lane and have fun breaking out of those lanes as well. But absolutely. In lane and like, no, and normally it's really good because with any band you tend to react to the album before. Yeah. So you'd be like, yeah, this album, we love that last album, but maybe it wasn't as fun to play live as we wanted it to be. So let's make a record that's fun to play live. And I'll never accept a band coming in going, we love that last album, but we want to get on the radio with this one. I'd be like, well, okay, find someone else then. To me, that's the worst starting point for. I'll help you get the best song you can get, and I'm really good at that, getting the best song out of bands. But if you start second guessing whether it's going to get on the radio or not, you've lost. Yeah, and, absolutely. You should be telling the radio what's or not giving a shit. Broco haven't had a radio play yet, I don't think. And now Radio 1 are going to start coming to them saying, can we play you? If I was Don Broco, I'd tell them where to go and say no. But that's me being arrogant. But they should obviously get on the radio. But at some point, if you start playing that game, and being an outsider is brilliant. That's why I love being around Don Broco, because I've always felt like an outsider. Press have never taken him seriously. Radio haven't. People, Bobby's voice, either love it or they hate it. It's an acquired taste. I love that. They're in their own little world, in their own bubble, doing their own thing. And that's what it must have been like being in the Beastie Boys at times. Yeah. Certainly was like that in our band, definitely. So when the rest of the world, the zeitgeist moves towards you, it's a wicked feeling. And Broco have got to an arena band without any support, apart from their management and their fans. It's incredible. It's so cool. Working so hard and just touring. So much respect for them.
They're amazing as well. It's like they're really what I love about Broco as well. The fact is how creative they are, and you just don't know what to expect from them next as well. And when you listen to their album, a new album for the first time or a new song, the amount of twists and turns the song will take, it's fun. As a listener, it's fun to get into that as well. And, rather than, as you know yourself, Jason, it's like, there's so many copycats out there. I was talking to Jonathan Weiner yesterday when we were interviewing him on PMFC, and we're talking about Billie Eilish. But then, we all think about how big Billie Eilish got. But then all of a sudden, like, everyone's copying her. It's just like, where's the fun in that? Just have fun, create new shit, and get out there and just show them what you've got creativity wise, and then it's more interesting for everyone as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is really hard to do. I mean, that's happened throughout the entire music industry, hasn't it? A band get big, everybody, I don't think they copy it, they get influenced by it before you know it. There's 50 of those. Same with football, isn't it? You know, Spain win the World Cup and everybody plays like Spain. Yeah. And suddenly somebody knocks a long ball over the top and like, wait a minute, it's about getting in behind now. Yeah. So I worked with the band recently. I spent 4 months doing an album, Up Down, where it's very, very Billie Eilish meets Arctic Monkeys. And it's two things that just don't stick together. Yeah. So I've tried to make it work, and it's really good. Because what I take from Billie Eilish is just massive dynamics. Excuse me. Super quiet, and then go super big or whatever. And but yeah, that's been interesting to see a rock band influenced by her, but not sounding anything like her. Yeah, which has been really good. She's incredible.
Oh yeah.
Back to Broco. That new record's amazing though. I'm so proud of it.
Amazing. Can't wait to listen. I'll love the new single. The new single's awesome. The video is great fun as well. Just, you know, taking the piss. Was it David Beckham as well? So the kind of, it's all, you know, kind of trying. That's so funny. It's great.
I love how they do that as well. They're really holistic in their thinking. Like everything's joined up and like creatively with the Cowboy last time. And
yeah,
it's great being privy to all those conversations and being in the studio and getting excited about all this stuff. I remember when I first did the demo for that, like, Manchester Super Reds #1 fan. When that line came in, that was just Matt reading off the back of his cup. He found the cup in an attic. So we're doing an attic clear out. He said Manchester Super Reds #1 fan. And it just, the enunciation was really good. And I said, we've got to keep that in.
Brilliant.
And it's only Broco where you could get away with being all right.
That's awesome. So cool. Yeah. Thanks for that, Jason. So, maybe let's have a chat as well about, as obviously you did A versus Monkey Kong, which I absolutely love that album. Fantastic album.
Great record.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah. You know, it's again, it's like the choruses, you know, you mentioned about the Beach Boys as well. You can hear all like the Beach Boys hooks and stuff in there as well. So I know that you were starting to get known, but you know, not that big. But then all of a sudden, you know, what happened during that period? It was like nothing suddenly came out, and then Hi-Fi Serious, and all of a sudden you guys just went into the stratosphere. So tell us about that period of your life in the band and what was going off at that point.
Well, we went to make Monkey Kong at ICP Studios, which I've been there for the last 20 years, and they're like family. I'm speaking to them today, to John, who owns it, and amazing studio. So we went there to make that record, and it came back and it didn't get on the radio in the UK, which is, you know, when you're on a major record label, it's like the end of the world.
Right.
It started to do really well in Germany. Yeah. That song, I Love Lake Tahoe. And so we had nothing going on in England, really, but we'd walk, you know, I've been in Berlin in their version of Top Man, and our videos would be on all these massive screens and stuff. And like, wow, that's our band. And we're at a point with a label there where they had no involvement with us, really. And I remember they gave us 10 grand in a carrier bag, basically in cash. Wow. And said, go make some videos with it. So we just jumped on a plane to California, and we made, with our cameraman with a Bolex, wind-up Bolex 16mm camera. Nice. And we made I Love Lake Tahoe, Old Folks, and A. And 2 weeks in California, or maybe a week, for 10 grand. And it was the most punk rock thing ever. And then 2 of those videos ended up being the biggest played video of the year on MTV in Germany. And you're like, that's cost us 800 quid, that video. and then the label were going to drop us. So we went in to see the record label at the time, and Warner's were just buying London, about to buy London. And we said, look, we know you're going to drop us, but we started to do really well in Germany. Come out to Germany and see us. And a few of them did, and we were doing really well there. So they're like, okay, some traction here. And our next advance was really big. So we went in with our manager and said, look, rip the record deal up. We just want to be on the label because we love this label. We love all the people. Yeah. But you don't need to pay us anything. So they went, okay. So just give us some money to go and make 3 songs. So we went back to ICP, tiny budget, and made Starbucks, Nothing, and Going Down, 3 songs. Went back and played the label. them, and they lost their minds and said, "Okay, you can go make the rest of the record." So we did, and then but they still weren't spending any money on us at all. I was
Really?
mixing the record at Eden with Al Clay, having to get the night bus home at 4 a.m. after being up all night mixing, thinking I can't even get a taxi. And, having spent 2 hours on a night bus from Chiswick to East Finchley and just thinking, why are we doing this? No money, everything's on credit cards. And then we played them Nothing, the finished version of Nothing. And John Reed, who was a new MD, because Warner's had bought the label by then, loved it. And it's nuts to think whatever the album cost to make, a week later, we were in South Africa spending twice that amount on one video. And then we went back to LA to spend 2 weeks with Ken Andrews doing B-sides. And then we went back to South Africa to spend another 140 grand on the Starbucks video.
Mad.
In a month, we'd spent, 400 grand.
Yeah.
And a year before, we couldn't even get the bus money out of them to get the night bus home. But that was, it sounds an obscene amount of money now, but that was in the days of big videos where you had to get an MTV.
Yeah.
And or VH1 or Kerrang or whatever. Yeah. And he did that Nothing video was all over the world. So we go to Japan and it'd been a hit there, and so it's money well spent. But just shows you how major record labels work. Somebody's went, bang, this band are international priority now. It was us, Green Day, Cher, and The Streets were all the 4 main acts on Warner's for about a year.
Wow.
Which is nuts. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was everything I'd ever wanted, really. But yeah, the year before William sent us money for a sandwich.
That's just crazy.
So yeah, the record did really well. Not well enough though. We ended up getting dropped 2 albums later, and we still own 1.2 million.
That's mad. Was it like a don't mind asking, is it because I know it still goes on for the industry with the 360 contracts, but bands, from what I understand as well, from like watching documentaries and chatting to bands that I master as well, saying that, so with labels and stuff, that they're still on these like contracts that they're just heavily in debt, and they just debt keeps building up as time goes on, or are bands not finding that as much these days? I don't know.
No, it was certainly for us. I mean, on a major in those days, it's like you look at rich people and think, why they're outgoing so high? It costs a lot of money to be rich, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's same on a major record label. All I ever wanted to do as a kid was be on the cover of Kerrang, play Wembley, and be on top of the Pops. And when you get a phone call saying you're on top of the Pops, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's only that night when you having to get a helicopter from BBC to Portsmouth to go play a gig because you refuse to cancel the gig. So you make the label get a helicopter for you, and it feels amazing. And then you do that gig and then get on a tour bus and go to Germany to do a show. You think, I'm living the life now. You realise that day's cost you 40 grand.
Mad.
That you're never going to get back again, So every single day you're spending a lot of money trying to have a hit, which you're never going to get back. The way the record labels are. So I think we sold about 300,000 records, but we probably spent 800 grand getting that to sell those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Labels still making profit. They're still making. I think back then they were probably making 6-7 quid a record, and we're not making any money from that record because we will never recoup.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I left that label in a good place, knowing we made the label some money, but we hadn't recouped. Probably need to sell 2 or 3 million records before. It's a bit like, have you ever tried to, like you're running out of petrol and you've ever tried to save, you're trying to work out whether you should put your foot down and get to the petrol station quicker.
Yeah.
Or you slow down and save more petrol. And there's somewhere, there'll be an algorithm where it'll be 38.7 miles an hour. It's like that in a band. It's like, you're trying to spend money to have a hit, but you've got to really have a hit to get that money back, which means you've got to spend more money to have that hit. And it's just chasing, it's like a dog chasing its own tail all the time. So we just looked at it, we were lucky, we were the days before 360 deals, but also unlucky because we're at the days where you didn't dream of making money out of touring.
Yeah.
Like we played Brixton Academy and we'd walk out of there with $1,000 each. Well, now you do it and you walk out there with 70 grand.
Wow.
Something as a band. So difference in ticket prices. Look at ticket prices from 2,000 below, and they're all like 10 quid, 8 quid. Whereas an arena gig ticket price now is 70 quid.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if you go see like top bands like Coldplay or U2 or someone like that, 150 quid, or Adele's like 150 quid, 200 quid for a ticket, but people pay it.
Yeah, and it's because it costs a lot of money to put those shows on. Price of fuel hasn't changed, and people expect massive production and want LED screens and all that. But the band have to try and make some profit on top of it, which is really hard to do unless you start charging those prices. So, it's all. I'll go pay 70 quid to watch Arsenal lose. So, I think football's the only industry in the world where you pay for disappointment.
Absolutely. Well, Jason, I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, so I've had disappointment for like 20 years, mate. So it's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Probably more disappointment for us on Tuesday, but we'll see how we go against Germany. It'll be an interesting one.
I think we need to not score early. I think we need a mission.
Yeah.
If we know we've got to score in the last, we seem to be sitting back on Leeds a bit in the second half, don't we?
Absolutely. It's just madness.
Yeah.
See how we go. Amazing. Tell us that. Thanks for that. Tell us as well about that moment in time. So it's a big thing where like LimeWire and Napster are around at that moment as well. So obviously kids were then starting to get music for free, weren't they? But and so did that impact bands that are on labels big time as well, like financially?
Yeah, got dropped. All the bands that hadn't made it got dropped. Yeah, like overnight, within a year.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was awful. And then the music business's response to it was equally as awful.
Yeah.
So trying to consolidate, and it's 15 years of hell, really. And we kind of come out the other side of it now, thanks to streaming.
Yeah.
And expensive tickets and hip hop have kind of saved the day.
Oh man, yeah, hip hop's just huge. Absolutely, it's become the. Would you agree that it's become like the biggest genre in the world now, hip hop?
Yeah, and I think it's kicked rock music's ass as well.
Yeah,
I think rock music got really boring and lazy and predictable, and everybody trying to make big sounding records. Whereas Tyler the Creator comes along and just mumbles his way through 4 minutes of madness, and you think you just knocked that out in a day or whatever. It sounds like it probably has. But not trying to make big records. Wow, that's incredible. It's so punk, and lyrics, saying whatever you want, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
Like, didn't rock music used to be dangerous? Now it's really boring. And now hip hop is really dangerous. And so we learned a lot from hip hop, I think. And for me, power of lyrics.
Yeah.
And how important lyrics are.
Absolutely agree with you as well. What's really interesting is I've noticed, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but in the industry, so maybe like a couple of years ago and fairly recently, it's like the 80s was like kind of, been regurgitated almost, and that sound, which is great because, a lot of us love the 80s vibe, but it's almost like the 90s rock guitar is now starting to kind of creep back into music again.
Yeah.
So do you think that's happening right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. I've got a few bands on the go at the moment that are like that. It's really good. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So,
everything's exciting, isn't it, when you've not had it before?
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with you. And it's really interesting. I once had a conversation with my dad. It's like, I was a kid, like you mentioned Dookie earlier on. I was a kid that absolutely loved Green Day Dookie. My dad was like, oh, check out New Wave and check out the bands in like, the late 70s and early 80s. So, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I do. I mean, I'm probably your dad's same age as your dad, probably. But
Sure.
that's what I always do is with bands. If a band come in and they're like this other band I was working with, are massive 1975 fans, as I am.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's listen to Talking Heads.
Yeah.
And see where that influence comes from. That, oh my God, they've never seen Stop Making Sense or anything. I was like, well, that video is actually, Matt's taking it from this video from, and he's quite vocal about it. And it's like, you need to kind of look at your favorite band's influences, really.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Learn if you think learning is important.
Yeah, completely. What about as well? As you work with producer Terry Date as well. So
Yeah.
did you learn a lot from Terry during that time period back in the mid noughties?
Yeah. Terry's not really a producer. He's more of an engineer producer. I mean, I did all my own vocals on that record on my own.
Yeah.
Just me in the studio on my own.
Wow.
Sitting at the desk, and Terry would come in for a beer at the end of the day, and we'd have a beer and a chat and stuff. But what Terry taught me was just to chill out as a singer. And like I was, it's kind of my pet hate in the studio, but I understand it because I was the same. Where you get bands constantly saying, "What's happening next? What's happening next? What we doing now? We're doing now." And I used to be like that, and Terry would be like, "Whatever we're doing, we're not wasting your time. Like we're doing something to help your band."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And everything takes an hour, and if it doesn't work, we'll have to do it again. But like you get bands that almost want the record to be finished on day one, and they're asking out, and my job is to try and chill them out as well. Terry once got me in a car and took me for a drive.
Right.
And I'm like saying to him, "Mate, what's happening back at the studio while we're doing this drive?" And he's like, "Jason, I don't give a shit. No, should you? Like, what's happening right now is me and you are going for a drive to talk about you chilling out.
Yeah.
And I know you're worried about is what's happening in the studio. What are you, a production line? Get a job in a factory then."
Yeah.
And so he told me that. And
that's
how
great.
to chill out and be relaxed about stuff, and how you can trust people. Like Terry, I comped my old vocals and that. I learned how to vocal comp on Pro Tools by sitting in a coffee shop in Seattle on my laptop and doing it myself. Because Terry didn't know how to do it.
Mad.
Like, well, if you want to do it that way, if you want to do playlists, then you can do it yourself. You can edit it. So I did. And Terry was like, "I'm fine with that."
That's awesome.
My daughter played basketball. You can edit your own vocals. It's like, well, okay, pretty chilled. But I quite like that as well. It's quite good. Treating you like
amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's so great. It's like as well. I understand that maybe that moment in time as well that you formed a producer team with Julian Emery, which a lot of us know for working with Nothing But Thieves, and also Daniel P. Carter, your friend that a lot of us know from being a rock DJ on Radio 1 as well. So tell us about that time period. So I understand that you started to work with quite a few different pop acts as well, that a lot of us really famous pop acts as well.
Yeah, we were down this morning for breakfast. We met for breakfast today, and
awesome.
We were reminiscing. But me and Julian have been doing some demos for some pop stuff, and I've known Julian for years, and because we were Rush fans, and he'd written a few songs, and I came in and helped him do some top line stuff for it, and he was trying to get them away with his A&R man at Island Records, and because we were in a successful band, I said to Jules, "I'll take him in." So I took him into Ireland and played it to Paul Adam, who was the A&R man that Julian was trying to reach. And Paul's like, "Oh, these songs are great. We should write with Matt from Busted." So we went and met Matt and got drunk with him when Matt was drinking in his crazy days, and it really was crazy. And played him his song "Hey Kid," and he loved it. And then we demoed it, me, Julian, and then Dan came along and wrote a few of the songs on that record. And then we spent the next 18 months making it. So we went from writing this demo to Paul saying, "Look, why don't you produce it?" And then we're in ICP spending a lot of money making a big record together. And it was just amazing. And the album ultimately didn't do well because Matt had a lot of issues and the label didn't really support it. Busted were a stadium level band. First time I saw them, they were doing their 14th Wembley in a row.
Wow.
And they could have sold Wembley Stadium out. And then while we're doing these songs with Matt, they split up. So these songs became Matt's solo album. I'm really proud of that record. I love it.
Amazing.
It sounds like Def Leppard, which is great. And it's weird. Like One Direction came along later and really Def Leppard off, and not those kind of bands in a pop way. So Julian taught me a lot about pop stuff, pop production. Because me and Dan were in A then. and we're still in A at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good crossover because A was kind of running out of steam, and the album we made with Terry, I don't really listen to that much. I liked it, but it's got no personality in it.
Right, fair enough.
That's why I love Monkey Kong. It's full of personality.
Oh, mate, yeah, great album. Yeah, so good.
So yeah, well, I just kind of lost a little bit of fire in my belly.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed doing production and stuff. And then Dan got the job at Radio 1, and Jules went off. Me and Jules went off and kind of did things together and separately. And I was doing the first Broco album in the same studio that Jules was doing the Thieves record. So we'd see each other every day, and both bands are friends. And yeah, it's really cool. And that's gone off crazy for them. It's great. In fact, Connor lives just over there. See Connor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Most days.
Oh, amazing.
Dan lives over there.
So everyone's still quite local then.
Yeah, great band, aren't they? Thieves, yeah. Amazing.
Absolutely brilliant. You know, it's so cool as well. It's just, again, I think, you know, it's really exciting the fact that, you know, you guys are still making music, and I've spoke to a lot of engineers as well and producers like yourself, that you've still got that hunger after all these years and that fire inside of you as well to keep creating and pushing the boundaries of music as well, which is so inspiring. You know, I mean, I'm a amateur going into intermediate level at the minute, so it's so inspiring just to hear your fire and passion with the music still, and also loads of other engineers and producers as well. But yeah, thanks so much, Jason. But tell us, before you go as well, tell us a bit about McFly as well. So I understand that McFly were just after Matt, is that right? Is that what happened? Yeah, tell us more about how all that came about.
Nick Gatfield, who was the head of Ireland at the time, read the Matt album and just called my manager, Adam, and said, because Adam, my brother, was managing me, and said, can me and Julian go make McFly? So me and Julian went and did that together as well.
Yeah.
And then the next McFly album, I went to Australia for, I think we were there for 4 months making that. And it was just me. And then Julian came over to help with guitars, and I had a break and came back. We spent a lot of money making that record. It was amazing.
Brilliant.
We had a house on the beach in Manly, and the band were off doing surfing lessons every morning and skydiving, and it was their money. They're like, look, we worked really hard for 10 years. Let's go have this adventure making this record where we have the time of our life. So that's all they wanted to do. It's brilliant. And I promised them, I said, okay, let's go do that. And I promise you, my job will be that we come back with a record, but you won't know how you've made it.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. And that's what we did. It's brilliant.
Brilliant. That's great. Love that.
That album did really well as well. It was great. It was it was called Radioactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really great album to make.
Amazing. And I think it's great as well as a pop band as well. And, you know, as a rock band, I mean, they're amazing musicians as well, aren't they? But it's just like how they've evolved over time and still stayed relevant as well with the kids and their fan base. You know, they're still very much there. Tell us a bit about McBusted as well, like how that came about and how that gelled together.
Yeah, I was I was with McFly doing pre-production for one of their albums that we were about to go to Texas and record. And we were at Manchester Academy, and James had just flown back from LA and decided to get a car up from the airport, being a rock star, up to Manchester to see the boys, because we were staying at the Lowry, and a lot of those Busted songs were written in the Lowry. So it's quite a romantic hotel for everyone. So, you know, I think Fletcher managers like give James, James just turned up, whatever. And he had his acoustic with him because he just got off a plane. And Fletch said to him, the manager, why don't you go on and do some songs? He sold out Manchester Academy, great venue. And as you know, James just balls onto stage and does like 3 or 4 acoustic Busted songs. The crowd got mental. And then the boys were doing 2 nights there. And I was doing pre-production for the album on stage in sound checks. So we'd allocated an hour. I love doing stuff in sound checks. In fact, that Everybody song by Don Broco, I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, mate, great song. Yeah.
We recorded drums for that at a 5-star sound check in Manchester Arena.
Yeah.
Because the boys were on tour. So I was like, I'll just come down to sound check and we'll record it on stage. So the drums for that song were recorded on stage at a 5-star gig in Manchester Arena in soundcheck, and we had like 20 minutes for the whole crew watching, and it was great. So we did that with McFly a lot, just doing pre-production for in-ears. And then the next day we were in catering and James comes down and Fletch said, wouldn't it be amazing? He's like, so good last night having Busted and McFly in the same venue. And Charlie wasn't involved at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, wouldn't it be amazing if like McFly became the Charlie? So he'd be like, McBusted. And everyone's laughing. And Fletch went, actually, that's a great idea. I'm going to go make it work. Then we went to Texas to record this album, which was all right, but I didn't do a very good job producing it. We didn't quite know what record we were going to make. We're just having fun in Texas in the studio, in the desert at Sonic Ranch. And we recorded a live album, essentially. McFly wanted to play everything live. And but you could see their hearts weren't quite into it. And the reason was their head had been turned. And I remember Adam Noble, who's an amazing engineer and mixer who works for me a lot, turned to me and said, this record's not coming out, is it? I was like, no, I don't think so. And, as soon as we went back, they played 5 nights at the Albert Hall and Matt and James came on and McBusted were born. So I think, only one song came out from the album. Then we went and made a McBusted record. But I got fired for that in the middle of it.
Really?
Yeah, I was working with Steve Robson on it, and he didn't like the way I worked. So Steve was kind of executive producer on it, and he's very production line.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get the best out of the band and trying to help them. So I think I was a bit too slow for him. He wants drums cut between 9 and 11 in the morning, and tell him the studio, go, what's going on? And we're still talking about Van Halen or something. Like, we're wasting time. But to me, that's making music.
Yeah.
I'm not into that whole production line pop thing where, you work on one direction for 3 hours and then Ollie Murs for 2 hours, and you can literally look at the schedule like that.
Yeah.
Steve's been very successful, way more successful than me. So maybe I've got it all wrong. And he's got it all right. But he just emailed me one day and went, I'm not hearing it the way you're hearing it. So I got sacked in the middle of that, which is very nice. So
crazy.
5 songs on it.
Yeah.
And then that was it. That was a bit of a weird time. But I've never fallen out with anybody in my life. So I was like, okay, the boys, I'll see them at soundcheck.
Absolutely. It's part of the game.
That Fly album before as well. So it wasn't the first time. In the middle of an album, and they decided to go and finish it with Dallas Austin in Atlanta. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then they came back and asked me to do another 3 weeks on it and do all the drums again and a lot of the vocals. So it was weird. But that's just how music is. It's like, okay, I get it. It's fine. I don't want to take it personally.
Absolutely. You just adapt, don't you? That's it. You just adapt to the situation and, the next project that comes along. But then, am I right in saying, but after that point, that was that round about, just looking at your discography as well, was that round about 2014-ish that all that was happening at that moment in time?
Probably, yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. I just come back before McBusted doing the Molotov record. And then when Steve said that, I was like, fine, I'll just go do Don Broco. Because they were asking me when we could start. I'd already done this song called Automatic with them. And they were saying, look, we want to do an album. And I was busy doing McBusted. Yeah. So the second I got that email from her, I called Craig up at Raw Power. I said, I can start Don Broco tomorrow.
Brilliant.
I didn't tell him why.
But man, that album though, technology. No, I completely disagree. But technology though, mate, it's what an album. It's like so many great songs on that album as well. Yeah. But yeah, I just love moving. Is it that song about LA? I've forgotten the song title.
Come on,
so good, so catchy. Yeah. It's great.
Again, that was talking to production. Matt sang it like that, almost as a bit of not as a joke, but like trying to get a different sound. Yeah. And it just needs someone like me to come in the room and go, "That's incredible. We're keeping that." He's like, "Nah," and I'm like, "No, we are." End of conversation. It's done.
Yeah.
I didn't even sing that bit again. That's just Matt's vocal on the demo.
Brilliant.
That's on the new album. Matt sang some amazing parts on his demos, and I've loved them so much. I'm like, look, we're keeping that. We don't need to sing it again, and the boys are fine with that now. But then we'll change a word or two. So we want to try and match the sound. So I've had Matt sitting in his bedroom a decoy when we're in the main room doing not drums, guitars.
Yeah.
And Matt's in his bedroom with his same Apple headphones with a little microphone there, recording vocals into his phone. And that's how
Brilliant.
his vocals on this album were recorded. So I'm like, that's how you did the demo. That's how I want the vocals to be. And the boys like, okay, fine, we'll go do that. One song I had Bobby using a Behringer mic into this little Behringer 2-track mixer that he's had for 20 years into GarageBand on his laptop, because that's how he recorded the vocals in the demo. And I loved it. So I'm like, I need to keep the same vocal sound. So yeah, it's whatever you need to do to make it vibey.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you.
Not going for a shiny new plugin. It's like, okay, here's a problem. Here's what's great. How do you make it better? How do we retain the greatness and helping the band make those decisions? Because if they were left on their own, they might not have had the courage to do that.
Absolutely agree with you. That's so, it's great that you're saying that as well, as I think, I'm sure you've seen it on many forums online as well. And as engineers, we all get bogged down by so many options sometimes. I mean, it's lovely. We're so blessed now with technology to have all these incredible options and different DAWs and different plugins, different bits of outboard gear and all that sort of stuff. So I know that you're not a massive gearhead. Like you said, it's about getting the artist to where they need to be in the song, and getting the song finished and sounding great and having fun in the process as well. But what sort of what plugins and what kind of gear are you into at the minute? Is there anything that you're particularly enjoying at the minute, like any mics or anything like that you love, or do you just use whatever's there and just go for it and in the moment?
Don't care.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I've gone through mics. I've owned 47s and 68s and 67s or whatever, and loved them all, and then realized they haven't made a jot of difference to anything. And use an SM7 for loads of things, and it's been great. Or 50, I don't care. Brilliant. I don't think it means anything to anything.
Yeah,
I mean, it helps, but I don't want to sound like I'm painting a brushed kind of Luddite picture of myself, but I really mean it. I don't think it matters. Yeah, I've got an old tape recorder there. We've done a lot of Broco drums through that on the new album. Yeah, like forcing the drums through it and miking up the speaker on the sound, so we get these amazing drum sounds. And I love doing things like that. Yeah, and I love using plugins like the RC20 plugin. Yeah, I love that, creative plugins, and I love, I think our Vox is still my favorite plugin. Simple compressor, 1176s are still my favorite piece of gear, and I still love 1073 mic pre's, but I don't really think it all matters as much as we think it does. But it does all matter. Yeah, it does all matter. It's but if you get something wrong in the chain, then none of it matters. Yeah, there's no connection between the artist and it matters in an emotional way. Like, do I want this song to be soft and warm? Yeah. Because I want you to feel soft and warm. Then obviously we're going to use loads of Neve stuff and loads of, ribbon mics. And, I'm not stupid. I know what gear to use. Yeah, absolutely. I let the emotion of the song dictate that, not what the shiny new piece of kit is. Yeah. And I also love limitations. I love going to studio where they haven't got the mics I thought they would have, and then dealing with that. Because suddenly then you'll have a 57 on a hi-hat, and you'll go, oh, didn't realize that could sound as good. Yeah. Yeah, and I did that Molotov record, and my friend Daryl was engineering it for me. Yeah. He's going to win about 10 Grammys and done the Foo Fighters and stuff. Daryl thought, wicked guy. Oh, he's nice, yeah. He just stuck an 87 in front of the bass cab and went, sounds like a bass cab. And, best engineers in America, just did the Beck album at that point, and it sounded amazing. And it took about 3 minutes. I'm thinking I could have done that, but it's just having the balls to do it. And Daryl was great at that. Absolutely, keeping things simple as well. So I think equipment is really important. but not more important than anything else.
Yeah.
I'd argue that the meal you have that night is just as important. Or the
True.
breakfast we have a breakfast meeting every day.
Yeah.
And how that meeting goes is just as important as what microphones we've got. Yeah. And everybody's headspace or what key the song's in is just as important. Or do the lyrics matter?
Yeah.
You know, so it's all important. And
Absolutely.
And gear is just a means to an end for that. It's not the end.
Absolutely agree. I think it's so completely. Thanks so much for that, Jason. I think you're absolutely right. You know, it's so easy to get bogged down by, you know, gear and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, like you rightly said, though, it is about the song, and it's about how, you know, what the band has created and the fun they're having while they're creating that piece of art to put out to the world as well, and the feel of the song. I think sometimes, you know, I've been in a studio before, just like, you know, kind of with like mates bands and stuff like that, you know, years and years ago. And, you know, we spent like hours, like, you know, I'm sure you've been there before, like recording guitars and stuff, and then going, oh shit, we've only got like 2 hours left to do the vocals. And it's all very last minute and like rushed. But then you realize that the vocal, like you said, is like one of the most, I think personally, it's like the most important thing, and the lyrics as well, and like how you put it across, because that's what hits, you know, the audience first, you know, before anything else.
I try and do vocals first on a record.
Do you?
Yeah, get the drums done for some of it, and then get an in-tune guitar.
Yeah.
Or get the track to a point where the vocalist is comfortable to deliver, and then at that point, probably a week in, every single morning or whenever they want to do singing, I'll carve out 3 hours a day for vocals.
Yeah.
And that's more important than anything.
Brilliant.
Only 3 hours, because then it's diminishing returns. Yeah. But 2 or 3 hours really, and then we'll sing every day. So I've never ever left vocals to the end of an album. I'd be really getting it wrong if we did.
Yeah.
We can do backing vocals at the end, and by the time we're finishing up, the guys in the band will be off somewhere else doing backing vocals, and you know, I'll be letting them get on with it or whatever. But yeah, the main vocals, because I want to be competent as I'm going along. And then the way I work with vocals is I tend to do a vocal, work with a singer always in the room with me, never in a booth or behind the glass. So always next to me, with earphones on, and then and then the next morning I'll go in early before breakfast or just after breakfast and spend a couple of hours on my own. Comp what we did, make a rough comp, tune it where it needs tuning, get it into a good space, and then play it to the band. And they'll make some comments and stuff, what we like, what we don't like, and we'll patch that up. And then we'll leave it for a couple of weeks or a week. And then a week later, I'll go back and I'll get the singer to double track to it. So I'll play that in one ear and get them to record 2 or 3 passes in another ear, left and right double tracking it. And that new version will 9 times out of 10 become that vocal, the main vocal.
Amazing.
It's kind of psychologically, you're kind of singing to yourself. So you know, sometimes when you're making an album, you're learning as you're going along. So you're kind of singing. You're not enjoying singing. You're trying to work out what the parts are.
Yeah.
So I want them to come back and almost sing like a cover version of their own song.
Brilliant.
Once they know it. So that's why we do vocals really early.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Thanks so much for that, Jason. That's brilliant. So yeah, but before you go, so what's next on your journey? So I know that I was having a quick look that you've been involved with the Pussycat Dolls recently. Is that right?
No, that's not me. I don't know why that's on my Wikipedia.
How did that get put on there?
Me off.
All credits. Amazing. Well, what's next?
I don't know. Well, I'm doing McFly. We're doing the McFly record now. They've got their own studio.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And then there's a band called The Horror that I'm going to work with. They're really good. And then a few businessy things. We've got a couple of festivals that we own and that we're building up, which has obviously been a terrible time. So next year we're trying to get them back off the ground, which is a lot of work. We've got really good teams behind that. So we're doing that. And then I've been doing some stuff with Rat Boy's new band called Low Life. So I've got more vocals to do on that to finish that. It's really good. It's like the Beastie Boys.
Amazing.
And then Rat Boy's going to produce some A stuff. I'm going to record 4 new A songs that he's producing.
Nice.
So that's the plan for this year. Yeah. And then next year, hopefully, A touring new A music and all that, and playing Germany and doing festivals, and because we enjoyed it so much this weekend. It's been amazing. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Lots going on.
Amazing. Have you missed playing live as well? Have you missed playing in front of an audience?
Oh yeah, I love showing off.
Thing?
I love showing. That's why I like producing. I just love being centre of attention. Yeah. Being in the room and being. I love it. I love showing off.
Brilliant. Love that. So good. Fantastic. Well, Jason, thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. It's been absolutely brilliant. Find out. Thanks, Jason. Really appreciate it. What we're going to do, feel free to hang out afterwards, after the live as well. But anyone that wants to join our community, it's facebook.com/groups/produce, mix, fix, and conquer. So Jason's on the community as well as many other amazing pros like Jason as well. And then YouTube, feel free to check out youtube.com/produce, mix, fix, and conquer. And Jason, I'm massively looking forward to your next work that you're doing with A as well. It's going to be awesome, man, and can't wait to see you live as well again. Be great.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, look out for the new Broco record. It's about to come out, and Trash Boat as well.
Fantastic.
Both good records coming out. Yeah, really excited about them.
Brilliant. Have we got any dates yet, or is it undecided
for Broco?
Yeah.
I think it's imminent, that record. New single soon, Trash Boat as well.
Brilliant.
And there's a kid called No Offense that I've been working with, really good, and that's coming out as well. So yeah, some good fruits of our labour coming out right now after last year's hard work.
Amazing, so good. Well, thanks again, Jason. Really appreciate your time, though.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thanks. See you soon. Thank you.
Take care. See ya.
See ya.
How do I end?